I was in a relationship one time. Things were pretty good. She knew all the right moves, and she kept things pretty quick and rough. It was all around a good time. When I wanted to do something kind of crazy, she knew how to keep me in my lane. Eventually, she killed me, though. And then killed me again. And again. And, well, you kind of get where this is going. Eventually, I did kill her, though. Only once. I don't think I'll ever do it again. But, you know. Anyway, boss fights. With their special movesets and AIs, their cool intros and one-hit kills. Everyone loves a good boss fight, right? But why do we love these boss fights? And what about a boss fight makes you really think about them long after a game? And why do some fall by the wayside? Doom isn't exactly known for its boss fights. It's known for, its, sorry. Eternal had some notably good boss fights. Probably the most memorable was the Marauder, which of course was rather controversial. He's a good enemy and felt right at home. I don't care what anybody says, don't at me. What about Conmaker? Pretty good fight too. Maybe a bit simple, but alright. Doom of course hasn't been really known for its boss fights though, but some games are. Souls-likes are known for the bosses. What makes those games so memorable than other genres? Well, it's all the boss fights obviously. These games also have a lot more development time put to their boss fights, obviously, so maybe that's the case. Maybe they just have better boss fights because of more development time. Sure, probably, but I don't think that really paints the whole picture. I don't think it's just how much love is put into making the mechanics feel good. To me, it's that there's a relationship between games and players. This much is obvious, I'd assume. But we also have relationships with bosses. Our little primate brains love getting tricked into emotional investments with fictional characters. And nothing brings that to light more than video games, of course. At least in a very specific way. You see, boss fights are personal. Ideally, a boss should be built up to with anticipation for its increased challenge and the finality of defeating it. They often symbolize the end of a level or a section of a map, or the end of a story perhaps. They'll offer rewards and a path forward, but they'll also offer an emotional attachment. If the build-up is right, a player should feel an energetic rush when entering the boss arena, saying, "Finally, it's time for me to kill this son of a bitch." This build-up is a relationship. Throughout the game, the player should have met the boss, interacted with it, come to hate it to some extent, come to feel an internal motivation to put it in its place. The Conmaker again is a decent example. She exists throughout the whole game, taunting, insulting, and generally moving the plot along in Doom Eternal. By the time you get to her, there's some level of emotional stakes. I've killed hundreds of demons just getting to this stupid hentai monster, and I'm kinda pissed. But the relationship to a game doesn't really end with the emotions, does it? It's also about the relationship to the game through player input, of course. That's kind of what makes games games. In Doom, we shoot things, slash things, bash things, smash things, and generally rip and tear demons into so much just blood and guts. We rush to pick up items, deal with certain threats based on their current threat level, decide what weapons to use and when, and finally engage with a simple yet satisfying movement system. The Marauder is a good boss because he generally plays into all these things, some more than others. But also he goes a bit further. He doesn't just force a player to interact with all the game systems, but also forces you to his own will, the way that you do to all those demons in the rest of the game. He does to you exactly what you've been doing to all of them. On a mechanical level, he uses the game systems against you to do the same thing that you've been doing. There's plenty of pretty good videos on the Marauder though, if you want a real discussion about him in particular. Then, the Conmaker is also pretty good at this. She changes the arena, requires constant positioning, and summons minions that require more precision. She's pretty mid about this aspect, but the emotional stakes more or less kind of make up for it. But what about other games? Elden Ring of course is known for its bosses. When I fight Radagon/Elden Beast, I'm engaging in all the systems the game has established up to that point, including probably sprinting a little bit too much though. There's also an emotional stake because you've built up to it. You fought how many asshole bosses to get here? You knew the entire time that you got up to or into the Erd Tree, you'd have to have a pretty big fight on your hands. Assuming you weren't spoiled on the bosses, of course, and already knew he was there. When you get there, the fight makes you interact with everything in the game. It's simple and effective. It's what most boss fights use, to varying successes, of course. Another boss fight from a game that's not very good, but generally has excellent boss fights, is Ivar from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. His storyline is sort of a mystery that turns into a murder mystery. It's long, with actually pretty decent writing, good characters, high stakes, and of course Ivar at the center of all of it. He betrays you in the end to orchestrate his own death. It's quite the shocking and compelling twist. The emotional stakes by the time the fight happens are, of course, pretty high, and given the length of the quest line, you're probably ready to be done with it. He's had a rather abrasive personality this whole time. He killed poor little Ceolbert. Ceolbert. I don't know, man. These old English words, names, I can't. I'm sorry. And he's also got a pretty fucking punchable face. So we're pretty ready to have at this guy. Then comes the other half of the equation, the in-arena relationship, where the boss must interact with the player on a mechanical level that feels congruent with the gameplay up to this point. This is kind of where my jaw dropped. Somehow this pretty shitty game managed to pull a trick here that works extraordinarily well, and the best part is it only actually did it once. They pulled their cool little rabbit out of their hat and they didn't run that joke into the ground for the rest of the game. So what are those tricks? Well, Valhalla has a couple of game systems that work with you during combat. One, you can damage enemies into a vulnerable state and do a finisher on them, very similar to From Software's games. Second, you can throw enemies around in various ways. During this fight, Ivar will trick you a bit. First, when he hits a low enough amount of health, he'll sit down and ask for a moment to talk. The player can't attack him or do anything at this point, so the player can engage in a dialogue with him. You'll be given 3 choices to choose from, like any old dialogue, and like most games, there's no time limit on dialogue choices, same with Valhalla. Except here, because Ivar will actually progress the dialogue anyway and give you a new prompt to dodge. And if you don't dodge, he'll actually do a finisher move on you. If you pick one of those 3 dialogue options fast enough, he does the finisher anyway. When you play this, it kind of blows your mind because the character literally broke the rules of the game, and it's extremely fitting for his character. He'll also throw Eivor off the cliffs just like Eivor can do to other enemies, which isn't really unique to him in the game, some other people can do it, but he'll actually basically counter your attack, and instead of just hitting you with his axe or something, he'll throw you off a cliff instead, which is something only he really does. And I didn't find footage of this, and I'm unwilling to get it myself because I don't want to replay Valhalla, but you can use his harpoon ability on him, and that's what I did during my fight with him. If you pull him towards the ledge, try to knock him off like you normally do with a lot of enemies, he'll actually pull you down with him. It's super fucking cool, and the whole fight is very meta, and it's just insanely awesome. This is a boss fight that used the game's mechanics and story to become a pretty top tier boss. He cited it was one of the best and most memorable parts of this game on a fairly regular basis. So why isn't the Icon of Sin also cited the same way? Well, hopefully through demonstrating what other bosses did, you see the issue here. The Icon is anything but an icon in the community because he's just not a very good boss. He's just okay, because he feels more like a set piece than a boss. The entire fight takes place with him outside the arena, rarely actually interacting directly with you. The player has no chances to glory kill him, there's no real choice between which weapons to use, he doesn't require movement, he's very plain. He's just like a plain bagel. Doom's combat really requires players at higher difficulties to consider their weapons as solutions to a puzzle. Each combat arena in Doom is like a puzzle of sorts, where you must piece together a solution to your problem on the fly. Which weapon for which enemy, which health pack at which moment, which get out of jail free card for which giant fucking enemy. The Icon just doesn't deal with any of this. The arena you play in has all the regular demons you encounter. In a way, this kind of accentuates the issue with the Icon itself, because in real time, you're doing all the cool mechanics against the other demons in the arena, and not the Icon itself. It's quite the stark juxtaposition. There's also a pretty mid build up to the fight. Throughout the entire level, you see him smashing a city, which is really fucking cool, but he's been missing for most of the game. He's played up as being really bad because he's a Titan, and we've seen what Titans do to entire cities. It's okay, so for narrative reasons, it's there. But the emotional stakes kind of lack because we never interact with the Icon. He's just kind of some vague threat somewhere else that never really talks, never foils the Doom guy. Plus, I mean, who really plays Doom for the story anyway? So a lot of people literally didn't invest themselves in it at all because why would they? And so the emotional side kind of suffers. Myself sort of included. I don't really play Doom for the story. For these reasons, the Icon fails to be a good boss. He's definitely the worst in both of the new games. He exists in this game because he exists in Doom 2 Hell on Earth. His implementation was quite similar in that game, actually. I wonder if this new design was a way to pay homage to the old style of fight, or because the complexities of doing something much more epic with this boss fight would have been quite difficult. We've seen the giant boss issue before in many games, including Elden Ring with like the fire giant. Shadow of Colossus, of course, actually is quite iconic because it's a whole game that spent most of its time dedicated to just solving the giant boss issue. Ultimately, the Icon of Sin tends to fall a little bit flat because he just doesn't interact with the mechanics of the game in any satisfying way. He doesn't have a relationship with the player that isn't fairly boring. I struggle to think of a better way to keep the Icon of Sin in a game and make it a better boss fight that wouldn't take a ridiculous amount of dev time to make. You see, we live in a world that runs on money, so you have to pick your battles when making games. I don't blame id for their implementation, but I can definitely say it's not great. The game isn't bad, the Icon isn't bad, it's alright, but it did fail to be a compelling boss, and that's why. Thanks for watching.